Just headed back to the truck. I've been out here seeing if I could call a mountain lion in. Hiking around the desert. It's starting to really green up. All the mesquites have got leaves on them. I was thinking about how I never even wanted to lion hunt. It wasn't a dream of mine. It wasn't something that I just wanted to do, but I think as I was 16 years old, I actually had a dream about killing these lions, these two lions. And I've pondered it as a very vivid dream, and I've kind of wondered about it for a long time and thought, well, is this just symbolic or what is it? Then when I was about 22, a man named Bud Brown moved in next door to me. And he had been lion hunting, and he started wanting to go lion hunting, and he bought these dogs from up in Idaho, and he had me go pick them up over in Colorado, meet the guy, and I'm sweating. And long story short, old Bud ended up not moving in next door to me. He stayed in Florida. His business changed, and he ended up giving me those dogs. And he had bought the tracking collars and had built the dog box, and he gave it all to me. So I didn't even have $1 in it. And those dogs weren't worth nothing. He got took on that deal. But through trying to hunt them and hunting with another guy who was really good with it, I ended up learning where to find lion tracks, learned what they looked like. And I think it was about 3 years of actual hard hunting before I ended up finding a fresh track. Well, 2 years later, I found a fresh track that was fresh enough to run, and realized those dogs weren't worth anything because we followed that lion for about 6 or 7 miles, and it was a fresh track, and the dogs wouldn't even bark at it. They just didn't even know what we were doing. And so I borrowed a dog off a guy, and the next year went out middle of November, had a fresh snow, cut a really big tom track, and turned this dog loose that I'd borrowed, along with a puppy that I had raised in the meantime that was about 8 months old. And I turned loose. I think I had my old Mugsy dog, one of those dogs of Bud's. And that dog that I borrowed, she took that lion and put him up a tree, and then I took the other 2 dogs in there and tied the dogs up, threw snowballs at that lion until he finally jumped out, and he'd run off, and I'd leave the dogs tied up. And after he went a ways, well, I'd untie the dogs, let them go chase him again, until finally he treed about the 3rd time. And I put on my backpack and I started back to the truck, and I thought, you know what, this is the first lion I've treed, and he's a great big huge tom, and I may not see another one like it. And so I went ahead and went back down there and shot him and skinned him out. He weighed over 200 pounds, and it took me an hour straight up out of that canyon to get back to the truck. And that first cat I got ended up making Boone and Crockett record book. So that's how I got started lion hunting. I really did a lot of hunting by myself. I was pretty proud of that first lion, and there was another dog hunter in town. I seen him at the post office, and I just got my pictures back and showed him the pictures, and he was saying, well, who'd you go with? Who'd you go with? I said, nobody, I went by myself. He said, well, who'd you get your dogs from? I said, well, I borrowed one off this guy, but I said, these others I ended up raising from puppies, and I trained them with this other guy's dog. And I could tell that really earned that guy's respect a lot, because I wasn't just tagging along and going to kill a lion just for the macho-ness of it. But I actually spent years studying the lions and studying their habits and studying their habitat, and finally got a lion to run, and the dogs wouldn't run it. And so then I had to spend some more time learning from people. And we didn't have YouTube back then, so there was nobody to teach you how to train a dog. But I got a couple guys one guy really knew how to train dogs, and he taught me a lot. And from there on out, it's been more about working the dogs than it has been about treeing a lion. Although I've treed a lot, and I've turned a lot of them loose, and I've got some really good pictures of some toms that a lot of people would say, man, that was a big tom, why didn't you shoot it? But for me, it's all about the working the dogs and seeing the race. And anyway, I got about another mile to the truck, so I'm gonna get on out of this snake country before it gets too dark. And we'll talk to you later. Do what God put you here to do.